So I want to talk to you in this video about why your marriage is failing. So I've been a pastor for the last 10 years. I've been married for this year would be 9 years. We have two beautiful little girls. And there's a couple of things that I've learned along the journey. One, marriage will start to deteriorate. Literally, it could be year one or two. Irreconcilable differences, you can't figure it out. The second time it spikes is around year statistically 8.5. And I'm gonna dive into why that is. And then the third time that it would spike is around year 20 to 25. Now, the reason why it spikes in year 8.5 is because there was a crack in the foundation of the marriage and it got worse because you were so busy, you were doing things, you were in a rush. And then if you can weather that storm though, then in year 2025, you sort of roll over and you're like, I don't even know who you are. So I want to take you to the drawing board and I want to explain something. So first, let's just talk about this is you in your house. Okay, this is your beautiful little home and you have your children, but somewhere along the journey there was a crack in the foundation and you didn't really talk about it, right? Like you didn't address it, things were off, things were wrong, and then there was another little crack, maybe like a traumatic event, maybe your wife caught you texting someone, maybe there's an emotional affair, and then there's another crack that takes place. You're not knowing how to fix things, right? Again, things are swept under the rug again, or you're just not connecting emotionally. Like that's what she's saying, or that's what he's saying, or like, I'm just not feeling it anymore. And then you are doing all the things that's like, you just have to look it up online, man. Like it's all out there. Like you're begging, you're pleading, you're buying flowers, you're doing all the things you shouldn't be doing. But what I want to talk about in this video is like why that is. Like why when there's a crack in the foundation, why did that happen in the first place? And when you tried to fix it, it didn't work. Well, first things first, man. I am really biased, but I believe that God established marriage. So if God established marriage, then we have to go to God to get wisdom and guidance. He is the mighty counselor. And so I would argue God is or was not at the center of your family. He wasn't at the center of the marriage. He wasn't at the center of how you did things and the decisions you make and the conversations you had. God wasn't there. So this is usually like, what is there? And like, God should be number one, but he's not. But maybe these are some of the things that are number one or that are just on the list, okay? The first thing could just be the kids were first, right? And then their games were really important. And so we went to their games every Sunday. We went to the games every Saturday. We became that family that was all about baseball or softball or volleyball. Like everything was just around the kids and their games. So we got really busy and God wasn't in the picture. The next thing could be, work. We were just so busy with work and we were overstressed. And statistically right now, we're recording this in 2023. So right now, statistically, women are actually filing for divorce more rapidly and more quickly than men are right now. And the reason is because the day and age we're living in, especially if you live in California, things are hard financially. So both couples have to work. So the wife's working, the husband's working, and you have children. And right now, the reason why women are filing for divorce is because the wife still does all the mom or the wife duties. She's doing the laundry, she's taking care of the kids, she's getting them ready for school, she's doing all of the stuff, and the husband still operates as if the wife doesn't work. So he comes home, he clocks out, he's on his phone all day, he's scrolling all day, he's not taking care of the kids, he's not helping with bath time. Like it's just so much chaos, which is why around year 8.5, divorce spikes. Because you were so focused on the kids, you were so focused on all the extracurricular stuff, you were so focused on your work, or you were so focused on your career, right? You were so focused on so many other things other than God in both your relationship as a man or your relationship as a woman, and most definitely God wasn't at the center of your guys' marriage. So if God's not at the center, there's no fear, there's no honor, there's no reverence, there's no healthy boundaries. Like you're just doing whatever you need to do to just get it done. The list can literally go so far down that I have talked to couples that say, yeah, like we just hardly ever have sex. We're hardly ever intimate. And that's a whole other thing. The reason why your marriage is failing is because for men, it's like, well, we're not being intimate. I can't tell you how many guys have reached out to me. It's like, I don't know what to do, man. Like, we're not having sex. Like, my wife's cheating on me. And it's like, well, could it be that sex isn't just intimacy? Let me help you with this. Probably spelled that wrong, but intimacy is not defined just by sex. It's not just physical. Intimacy is also, here's a really big one. I'm going to help you men out. It's also emotional. Intimacy is also incredibly emotional. Intimacy is also social. Like, are you spending time? Are you going on date nights? Do you have time for each other in the marriage? Or is it just about these things? Is it just about the kids? Is it just about the work, right? Intimacy is also, watch this, spiritual. Like, this is so important for men and women to figure out because we look at, I'm not, we're not having sex, things aren't good for us. And so because we're so focused on the sex piece, we forget that women need you to be emotionally clocked in, right? Like the guys, you might need your wife to understand that, hey, like I'm an emotional creature as well, right? Or you are not spending time with each other. There is not enough time in your days or weeks or months because again, it's all about the kids or it's all about work. It's all about the extra activities. It's all about your career. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on here. And where's God? Like, ask yourself this, is God even in the picture? Because when God is in the picture, there's conviction. When God's in the picture, there's reverence. When God's in the picture, both of you are like, hey, we're not even going to bring up the word divorce. We're not even going to bring up separation. When God's not in the picture, you're not in a community. You don't see the blind spots. You don't see that you're doing anything wrong. You're not challenged. You're not convicted. When God's not in the picture, you fall into this. Addictions. I can't tell you how many men and women I've talked to that when God is not in the picture, they fall into their worst self. They fall into a place of darkness. And remember, usually in a marriage, when things are failing, it's not just about them. It's actually more about you and your darkness. Or watch this, your porn addiction. You become super, you're big, you're always drinking. So you become an alcoholic, right? You don't really know what to do because you're so busy and you're so worked up. And so then you go into, watch this, you start vaping, right? Or like you're smoking a lot. Like you find outlets to get you preoccupied, or you're just really addicted to your wife or to your husband. And again, let me ask you the big question. Where is God? He is not at the center. And so because he's not at the center, it's really hard to get a very healthy foundation with you and your wife, or with your wife and you, right? So your husband and you. So I just want you to like really consider this. Like, the house is so crucial, but there are cracks in the foundation. And because there are cracks, you think that the solution is, well, maybe we should have some children, or maybe the problem is our kids. No, that's not the problem. Well, maybe it's just because we're super like focused on work. No, that's not the problem. Maybe it's just like the finances. Like, yeah, that could be a problem, but that's not the problem. Maybe it's like maybe it's because we don't have a good sex life. No, that's not the problem. Bro, the problem in your life is God is not there. He is not present. And so for me, again, as not just a coach, but also as a pastor, if you both believe and have a relationship with God, then he has to be at the center. I can't tell you how many times I have been so blown away when I'm walking with a man that is struggling in his marriage and he just puts God back at the center. The wife begins to see that there's a true change of heart. It wasn't a behavior modification, it was something truly different that took place in his heart. And so he became a new man. He was able to step into a new marriage with his wife. And so I want that for you. So these may be reasons I want you to really think and consider of why your marriage is falling apart. And the fix really is to put God at the center. So I hope this helps. I hope this can kind of really give you some like eye openers, and I hope you might be able to see some of the blind spots as I just kind of shared some of this stuff. Okay, so if this helps you, again, reach out to me, send me a DM, check out our website. That way we can help you maybe restore your marriage, fix your marriage, and really ultimately work on you and your relationship with God.